In this film I want to talk about the DCC Speed Steps. Quite often in a manual you'll see settings of 14 speed steps or 28 speed steps with the option of 128 speed steps. And it's actually surprising how little is written about them, what they mean. So maybe it was done back in the day and we all missed it, or it just was taken as read and that's how it was. So the speed steps are how the locomotive speed is controlled, and think of them as running notches. There's the loco running around on the first speed step, and second and third. If I stop it, I'm going to change my controller to 14 speed steps, so lock menu, speed step mode, 14. So this is the original DCC speed step mode, and you see as I notch up you get an increase in speed. Now there's another effect coming in. You've got the locomotive's inertia and the flywheel. So the inertia setting in CV3 and 4 and the flywheel are controlling the smoothness of the loco. So it's actually masking the speed notches. If I slow it down again, and on most decoders there is a function to turn the inertia off. They call it direct drive or ABV off or inertia off, depending on which manual you're looking at. On the Nistrix loco it's function 4. So that will tell the loco to ignore the inertia settings. So now when I notch up, you see this, effectively the steps. The power going to the motor is the main thing. The flywheel and the mechanism provide a little bit of smoothness. So with 14 speed steps there was very little shunting control, because you could have this quite a step between the speed on the locomotive. 14 speed steps was also a bit weird, as it had a function for controlling the headlights in part of the command. So you actually see while I'm running it on 14 speed steps the headlights haven't been working, because I haven't changed the decoder setting in CV29 to say it's running on 14 speed steps. The reason I've done that, to be honest, is that it's largely irrelevant now. 14 speed step running has almost totally disappeared. It's very rare now that I see a decoder that is running on it, and the Fleischmann variation of that was 27 speed steps. They both used the same driving commands, they just had a way of finessing it within the decoder back in the day. So the DCC standard changed quite a few years ago now to 28 speed steps, and they got rid of that headlight component and moved it elsewhere in the decoder. Oops, escape. So I'll put it back to 28 speed steps. So there we are. With the inertias turned off, it's not quite so noticeable that there's a step up between each throttle stage. And if I turn the inertias back on, it smooths it out completely anyway. So speed steps have very little to say about the smoothness of the running. It's more about the fine throttle control at the bottom end when you're shunting, because the loco decoder inertia will smooth out any of those jumps between the steps. So 28 speed step running is kind of accepted as the main running spec steps. Most people use it. Yes, my rolling road's a bit worn out. The loco is a lot smoother than that, honest. So we'll get that right down. So 128 speed steps was introduced because people want even finer control, particularly at shunting. So we put it across to 128. When you're going from 28 to 128, there's absolutely no change within the loco decoder. It's just your command station, your digital controller, that is sending the instruction. So now the speeds are graduated in finer increments. There's two flip sides to that. The first is on your throttle. It takes an awful lot more to go up through the speeds. And come down again. And also the system is sending an awful lot more data. So if you've got a lot of locos on a large layout, you might start finding some lag. Locos just don't get their instructions as quickly as you think they should. And that has implications for computer control as well. With an awful lot of locos running and constantly changing commands, you are sending an awful lot more data with 128 speed steps than you are, well, you're sending double the amount of data that you are with 28 speed steps. So it's all a bit swings and roundabouts. If I turn the inertia off, you'll see. You do get direct control, and some people use that with computer control so that the computer maps out speed curves for the locos rather than using the decoder speed curve. So, as I say, the direct control is much finer, but the data transmission, again, for that is going to be much higher. You're constantly sending new commands to the loco to change its speed. So personally, I would again use the loco's internal inertias and speed curve. So in reality, for the majority of people, 28 is the standard. It's what most people will use. 128 is a personal option. Honestly, for most things I can't really see many advantages between the two because of the internal smoothing within the loco anyway. So it's not like you're seeing it step, 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 step. When you've got the inertia set up, it's fine. And even with inertia off, let's go back to 28 speed steps. It's not terrible, it's not jerky. Yes, you can see increments in the speed. Thought I'd better vindicate the locomotive. It's the roller bearings that are completely shot on my rolling road, so the loco is perfectly smooth running on its own. No wobble. So the only situation I've seen where 128 speed steps becomes important is diesel locos with gear changes. Sometimes the gear changes have been programmed to specific steps. Oddly enough, this one doesn't, but it does show the gear changes. So this one's running on 28 speed steps, but I have seen some projects where they stipulate it. My only concern with that is that it risks alienating your customer base that don't have access to 128 speed step running. So I think most people are sensibly staying clear of that. So really the summary is that speed steps are not anything to worry about. 28 is perfectly suitable for most people. 128 is an option. If you're buying modern stock, and I mean in the last 20 years, 28 is the standard and your control system will run it straight off. If you find older stock, you may find it set on 14 speed steps. And you can see that the weirdness going on with the headlights there as I go up through the throttle. Every second step the lights come on, and that's to do with the 14 speed step setting. CV29 bit 2 is turned off to get 14 speed step running. I can fix that one of two ways. First way is to go to my handset and select 14 speed step running. And now we've got rid of that headlight inconsistency. Or I can put the loco on the programming track and see if CV29 changes. So boom, over to the programming track. Programming track CV29. Read it. Okay, I'm just going to go to the bit editor, turn bit 2 back on, and write that. And put my handset back to 28 speed steps. It's the loco back on the tracks. We're now running on 28 speed steps.